Good morning from Vietnam, Sandy. How are you today?
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here, so honored, and thank you very much for having me.
The one who should be saying thank you is me, and I also want to congratulate you. I want to say thank you also because you are the person that joined to our show in the 50th country. So the 50 country we're having experts around, and I know that this month is also your birthday, 50th birthday, right? What is coincidence? So thanks a lot for joining and thanks a lot for celebrating your birthday together. Okay.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure.
Mm. Sandy, in our culture, it's going to be very honor for our audience if we can have you to share who you are and the work that you do. Would you please do that?
Yes, for sure. Well, my name is Sandy Mora. Well, my real name is Sandra, but they call me Sandy, and I decided to go with that. And well, I'm a mother of three. I've been divorced twice, and I'm a cancer survivor also. And my career, what I studied was a bachelor's degree on communication sciences. So,
Mm.
TV advertising, you know, newspapers and all that. I worked in the corporate world for more than 20 years in
Mm.
advertising, marketing, and promotions.
Mm.
And a lot of life tsunamis, as I already told you. I've had I have one of my sons is has a kidney transplant. So since 2008, sorry, I don't even know in what year I am. In 2008, the tsunamis started. So I got my first divorce. Then a year after that, my youngest son at the time got sick with a kidney failure. It was almost a year, going back and forth and with a lot of treatments and sickness and hospitals until we got a transplant. And then exactly a year after my kid got sick, I got cancer, breast cancer. So it was again, the roller coaster and everything. So these events obviously shaped my world and turned my life upside down and made me question everything. I mean, I had all the existential questions in the world, why is this obviously the first question that rises is why me, and why me, and what is this all about, and what am I doing, and what is life about, and if I'm to die tomorrow, would I be happy with the life I've got? And so all my priorities started shifting. And well, I decided. I always had this like little worm about psychology. My mom is a psychologist, but I decided on another career when, as any normal adolescent, I wasn't in a good place with my mom when I was a teenager. So when I chose my career, I decided to go separately, do nothing that had to do with what my mom was doing. But I think that life, has its ways to bring you where you have to be. So I decided to study a master's degree in human development potential, or human potential development. Sorry, and then I lost my 12-year corporate job. So it was like one thing after another that led me to the right path. And now I've been spending almost 9 years working in human development as a trainer, corporate trainer, a mentor, a writer. I wrote a book. I have also a podcast. That's why I was so surprised at how many podcasts have you done. I mean, it's amazing. Um, and working with corporations around emotional responsibility and being happy at work. I'm a student of Tal Ben Shahar, the famous teacher of Harvard, who taught the class on happiness. And he has the Happiness Studies Academy. So I joined, and now I became the executive manager of the alumni and business club of the Happiness Studies Academy. And also I keep working with corporations and doing talks. I've given a TED talk, and that's what I do right now. And I love my work. I really feel that I'm in the correct path now. And well, that's me.
Wow. Sunday. I'm sorry for what happened in 2008. During that time, there was a big global recession, so there's a lot of stress on the people already, and somehow life gave you a lot more tsunami that testing your resilience capability, test your faith, and then and but it also give you a new channel, the new light, the end of the channel to do something that's significant and then have a lot of influence to the world. And then, sometimes we don't know why things happen to us, right? And I'm happy for you now that you'll be able to create a path that really, really influencing and really, really inspiring for not only for you and the people around you, but for the many people that you can be in touch with. Okay. Yeah.
Thank
So
you. Thank you so much.
yeah. So Sandy, allow me to bring you to the newer, to the older version, to the younger version of you, the different version of you years ago. Because when I was young, I wanted to be an astronaut. Okay, so I wanted to wear a suit and then jumping on different planets. It was so fascinating to me. Life didn't give me that opportunity. Also, not even close. So the closest one that I had was buying some toys from NASA and that's it. So for you when you was young, what did you dream about the future of you and the influence that you're gonna bring to the world?
Well, when I was young, I wanted to be a Broadway musical actress, like the Phantom of the Opera, or that sort of thing. So I liked a lot dancing and singing,
Hmm.
and that was what I wanted to do. And well, I same as you, nothing close to that. I mean, I dance, I love salsa, and I sing in the shower, but that's it. I really didn't follow that path.
Hmm. So how it led you to study communication science though?
Well, as I told you, my mom is a psychologist,
Ah.
so I was between psychology or I wanted advertising directly because my grandfather worked in the advertising, business.
Hmm.
So I was like between them, but because I was fighting with my mom at that time,
Hmm.
I really decided that I wanted to go, do anything like that. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna go advertising. But then I decided that advertising was, too narrow. That I
Ah.
wanted to take a look at other areas. So I studied communication sciences, which includes, cinema, TV, public relations, all sort of things. So I studied that, but then I started working at an advertising agency. So that's what I wanted, and I started working there. I worked for about 5 years in Mexico City in advertising agencies, and then I moved to the city where I live now, which is Querétaro. It's like 2.5 hours north from Mexico City. And I started working at Kellogg Company, the cereal company.
Yep.
And I worked there for 12 years in marketing.
Oh.
So that was the path.
And then fast forward on to the moment that all the tsunamis that happened, right? And then you decided to take a different path. And then that different path, at that moment, there could be a lot more. many other paths that you can take. You can go back to corporate world and go into another company, as big as like Kellogg, right? And continue doing marketing and communications, whatever it is, because you've been doing that for 20 something years. So it's easy for you to find a job. It's easy for people to for you to get into the industry again and rebuild everything. You started you gave yourself the courage to stop all the expertise, all the experience that you've been gathering and accumulating over the years and start fresh doing something totally new.
It
Yeah.
was hard. It
What
wasn't easy.
what did you talk to yourself back then?
You know, I think I started studying my master's before I left Kellogg,
Ah,
um, because I well, all my, as I told you, all my priorities shifted, and I was questioning myself if what I was doing in the world was, the legacy that I wanted to leave, and I was having all these existential questions. But I still, this is my expertise, this is my career. I have a steady job. Here in Querétaro, there are not so many big companies, and this was one of the biggest companies here in the city. So it was like, are you an idiot? How you cannot even think of leaving?
uh-huh.
And then life decided, okay, you're not gonna leave, then we're gonna kick you out. So it was like, that's your path, you should go. And no, they didn't kick me. Obviously, they didn't kick me. But it was, for me, it was a sign. For me, it was very clear that my energy and my passion and my purpose weren't there anymore. So it was a matter of, for the first time in my life, really, because I was a very, very rational, task oriented, results oriented, executive kind of person, and I had covered my heart with an armor, not to feel, childhood trauma. So I was always working from the head. And obviously, leaving that steady job with two kids, one was sick. It was, and I had cancer, so it was like I have the medical insurance, I had the steady income. It's like, how would you even think of leaving that? And as I tell you, when my passion wasn't there, my heart wasn't there anymore, and I see it as the universe conspired. So I had to leave the company, and as you say, I could have gone looking for another corporate job, but my heart was saying no, not anymore. Because you don't know how long you're gonna live, because once we never know, no one knows. But when you've been confronted with a disease as cancer, you feel like your expiration date is like, you feel it near. So it was like, do I really want to keep on doing this? If my day comes tomorrow, would I be happy working in a corporation, as an employee in marketing? And the answer was a clear no, not at all. So go on and follow your heart. And obviously, it was very hard. I had the imposter syndrome for years. I can tell you, I still experimented sometimes. That you don't have the credentials, you don't have the experience, people are not going to believe you. Who do you think you are to be selling these services, which you're not such an expert? You don't have 20 years of experience in this. So yes, it was starting from zero. And fortunately for me, at that time, and that's why I say, like, the universe conspired, because I remarried. And in that second marriage, my then husband had just started a company about experiential training for companies, for corporations. So, all soft skills through play. So when I left Kellogg, it was like the obvious thing. I'm studying my master's. It's around human development, human potential. I'm going to start working here. So I was able to start proving myself immediately. So that was a good thing.
Wow. Well, even good thing there was a lot of challenging at the beginning, right? And definitely, because as an entrepreneur myself, I was also had the challenge when I left the corporate world, and I still remember that days very vividly because when I left the office and I told my boss that I want to pursue that opportunity differently. Nobody believed that my parents, was so mad at me because in this part of the world, there's a very high, the family really happy if you've been in corporate and you carry corporate brand when you should go into work and stuff like that. But somehow something from the inside of me telling me that I'm no longer have the happiness there. My heart is no longer going with me onto the job, and if I'm keep doing that, first it's not good for me, but second it's also not good for the team, the company, and the people that I'm servicing. So
Exactly.
uh, so I went on a taxi, and he asked me where I want to go, and I told him I want to think. So drive me on the very big road that have less red light, so that it's not gonna stop me from from the process of thinking. So we went over on the very big bridge, and that bridge is very beautiful bridge in Ho Chi Minh City, the city I'm living in. But he was very worried of me because he might thought I'm gonna commit suicide or so. And I told him, I
Yes.
just process thinking. So, try to help me to go as smooth as you could, and don't get us stuck in the traffic. Otherwise, it's gonna stop the process of thinking. So I can feel the same feeling. I can share the same feeling with you, Sandy. Uh, then go back to that the work that you do now. You injecting happiness onto the life of people, and that is something that's very, very, very good thing to do because happiness is hard to find now. And
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, go ahead.
no, what I was going to tell you is that I don't see it as I'm injecting happiness because happiness has to come from within, but
Mm,
at least I'm,
facilitating,
providing the
yeah.
tools or communicating the ways that people can find their own happiness. So
Mm,
I think that's very important. And also I'm trying to, bring this model of emotionally responsible corporations
mm,
that allow their people, allow feelings into the company, because the corporate world has been historically, the place where emotions are unprofessional. You don't bring your emotions here,
mm,
and what I've learned in my life, it's that everything is emotional. We're emotional beings.
yeah.
There's no way to separate
Separate.
emotions from work. I mean, work is an emotional experience
Mm,
for sure. So we need to have, I say we need to have diversity and inclusion of emotions in the workplace, not only
mm,
of races or genders, and because that enriches the
mm,
experience, and that also allows us, with that along obviously with, having a purpose, and feeling engaged in what you're doing,
mm.
and meeting people's individual purpose with the purpose of the company. So this, this fire that you and I felt diminishing,
Mm,
that keeps alive,
mm.
and if it's diminishing and there's no reconciliation, then people can feel empowered to go and look for their dreams, and do what they think or feel they are meant to do in the world.
Yep.
Because I mean, I respect that decision, obviously.
Mm. And you know what, Neil? I think the world of work has changed a lot. Also, there has been a notion talking about the work for a very, very long time, but it is design has also changed drastically. Prior to the pandemic, and during the pandemic that even accelerated to the change even a lot more. And
Yes.
you know leaders these days, I think that they realize the importance of a culture of love, a culture of connections, a culture of happiness, and they have to find a way to inject that onto the activity, the strategy, the works that Otherwise, they're gonna lose the people very easily. The people would quietly quitting from the inside already, even they still present at work because of the financial, like burdens or whatever that they need to have for themselves, right? So, um, so when you start in that trend and start to provide people with the tools, how do you see, people and organization change in your region?
Well, I think that there's still a lot of work to do.
Mm.
Here, and probably I don't know Vietnam at all. I wish I could go someday.
Go.
But
We are here. We are here. We're waiting. Welcome you guys.
uh,
Okay.
but obviously it's not like in the first world countries. They are experiencing this great resignation. In countries like Mexico, I think we're more. If you translate resignation directly to Spanish, it means resignación, which is you have no option left, and you say like, well, this is where I have to be, and there's nothing I can do about it. So I think we're more on that side that people cannot resign because they are with economic struggles, and they cannot leave their job and not have anything to hang on to, but they are already disengaged and burnt out. Mexico, and this is no doesn't give me any pride to say it, but it's important because it gives you a context. Mexico it's in the first places of countries that work more hours, and people are more inefficient. So people, this culture of the one who stays late, the latest in the office, and the one who sees less their family is like, oh wow, you work so hard, and that's not correct, because there's no balance.
Yeah.
And people are miserable in their jobs. And yes, this global thing, it's starting to turn on alarms and red lights to corporations to say, hey, we need to take care of this, and that's good. I think that's good. Here in Mexico, there are other countries that have had these laws for years. Here in Mexico, it's just really starting. It's called a norm 035, which is a law that obliges companies to take care of the psychological and sociological risks of their employees. So they need to measure if there are psychological or sociological risks, and mental health and well-being, and the fairness of the job distribution, and all those sort of things are only starting here in Mexico, so are in diapers, But I think that's a very good thing, because it needed to happen. A lot of things need to change, and I agree with you. If the owners of the companies and the CEOs of companies don't jump in this trend of making well-being of your employees and happiness of your employees a strategic pillar, for the company, you're gonna have no bench. You're gonna have it's not sustainable. People are going to leave, and then you're gonna have no one. So it's not sustainable. Sustainability needs, I see like the social accountability, the environmental responsibility, and the emotional responsibility within the company. I think that's like the third most important thing, and that consumers, the pandemic started bringing this up more, but new generations really are going to, punish or I don't know how you say that. I forgot the word, but prize the company regarding, based on, are they for social responsibility or not? Do they have a great place to work, or a just place to work, or are people burning out and leaving and unhappy? And I think that the consumers, their decision of purchase, if every time more and more is going to be based not only on the product or the price, but also on the ethical part of
Yep.
it. And I think this is very, very important.
Yep, yep. I also believe that too. For a very long time, we purchase so easily and ignoring the the impact on our decision making. So I also share about that a long ago in a talk with corporate leaders. So we have about 100 corporate leaders around, right? And we say uh, if is like meeting the client expectation at all costs is good. I don't think it's gonna be good because we are demanding the demanding for products to be cheaper, more quality and stuff like that. If we can always fulfill in that, which is good, but it has to find a sustainable way. Otherwise, along the chain, you're gonna pressure the suppliers to do more with less. And what happened with that is they will pressure the employees to do with more with less, and it's not gonna create a lot of anything good for the people along the chain, right? So we have to find a way that balance between the expectation, the consumer experience with the employee experience, the corporate values and everything. And so I hope that the people can see the bigger picture of what they do now can impact the whole value chain in the long way, and they can find a way to sustainably build the culture and the products and the people around that. So the whole ecosystem will be creating something that lasting for long, and the people within it will find the happiness, the purpose at work, the values they are contributing, and they can bring the whole human beings themselves to work and having a fulfilling work and life. So there's a lot of works to do. There's a lot of works to do for you, for me, and for a lot of people like us out there. But as long as we
Exactly.
see the movement, the needle starting, to move, that is good for signs for us to know that okay, we are heading to the right directions, right?
And you know what? I now that I had this experience, that I'm having this experience on the Happiness Studies Academy Alumni and Business Club with volunteers. I started as a volunteer, and then when I became the executive manager, but I work with a team of volunteers, wonderful people
Mm.
that are there just because they love the mission and they love the community and they love and learning how to lead a group of volunteers has taught me so much. You
Mm.
don't have you have no idea about emotional responsibility, about inspiration, about purpose, about meaning, about uh, you know feeling valued, about meaning, about a lot of things. So what I've started saying is like, we, all the companies, no matter if you're paying your employees, everyone should treat their people as volunteers, because somehow they are volunteers, because
Mm.
the great resignation has taught us that. I mean, if they're not happy, eventually they're going to leave, or
Yep.
if they're sick, they're going to leave. So um, and they have to be willing to give their gifts, for the company and for the company to reach their objectives. So you're volunteering your expertise, your knowledge, your know-how, your whatever, um, and as soon as you don't want to give them anymore, you're or silently resigning or leaving. So I think that managers and leaders need to start looking at their people
Mm.
as if they were volunteers and treating them that way, because what moves a volunteer? The cause,
Mm.
because you really believe in the cause and you want to add and to add value to it and to
Mm.
make a difference in the world. The leader,
Mm.
which is inspiring, and it's congruent, and it's has coherence, and it has a very clear vision, and you love the leader, and because you love the leader and you love the cause, you're willing to work even if they don't pay you. And I
Yeah.
think that we should aim that people in our companies love their job so much that they say, even if I wasn't paid, I would love to do what I do.
Yep.
And I think that's like um, the goal. I know it's like far away, but I think it's reachable.
But it happened. It happened a lot. In my country before, we've been seeing a lot of companies, especially going to when companies really cares for the employee, and then they're going through tough times, challenging time, right? The people going to work without even like getting paid, and getting fairly paid, but they know that their contribution we have to turn around the boat, and then can make the and not gonna let the ship sink, right? And then they go to work with all the hearts to trying to make a difference. And when the companies went through that tough times and then make a difference themselves, then the employees, the one actually, the owner gave the employees a lot of rewards, awards, the compensations for the time that they spent, that they contribute back in. But back for 2 years, I seen that company that people going to work and then get barely paid for having it to cover for their life, but they still go into work because they love the owner, they love the people, and they come, and then the works they do. So if we can inject that, we can create that. That definitely is a way that we can do. Okay. And Sandy, I loved to talk about the book that you write, because a lot of my friends are executives, and that's two things that they always tell me when they retire and regretfully is, the first, they didn't start a company earlier to run them by themselves because they had the competency, the capability to do that, but then they, for any reason, they keep sticking with their corporate life, right? The second is write a book. So they always wanted to write a book for themselves, and but they didn't do that. So we always encourage them and say, hey, it's never late. Try to do it. So you wrote a book, and I want to congratulate you for that, because that gonna go forever. And so how's that journey of writing Emotional Alchemy?
It was quite a ride. I started when my son got sick.
Uh,
One of my best friends, her son had been sick a year prior.
uh,
So I say that, well, we say that she's like my extreme parenthood coach, because she had already gone through a sick kid with a very serious illness. So when my son got sick, she came and she told me, people are very well intended, and they are going to be calling you over and over to ask, what's going on, and how can I help, and tell me more, and you're gonna get tired.
hmm,
So I recommend you write a blog,
uh,
and you let everyone know, you can subscribe to my blog. I will be daily or every 2 days posting, the updates of how my son is going, and you can leave me your comments there. But she told me it really helped me, and I knew it because she had been abroad taking care of her kid in another country, and I was able to follow all the development and all the ups and downs of the process and how she was feeling, because she wrote.
mm,
So I said, it's a very good idea. Now I know that writing is one of the best and more therapeutic things you can do. So I started writing a blog, and a lot of people gave me a very nice feedback about, hey, you have a very, light way to write, but it's interesting and it's engaging and it's fun. Why don't you write a book? And I mean, at that time, I was trying to keep my kid alive, and then I was trying to keep myself alive. So I was like, yeah, sometime, I don't know when. Um, then after my cancer, I did start, writing some parts of it, and figuring out, how do you write a book, and talking to people that I knew that had already wrote the book, and what was the process like, how do you do it, how do you decide what to write about, or the order, and they kept giving me tips. So I
mm,
started, like, oh, okay. I started writing, and I left, like, I think the manuscript was about 60% finished, and I left it on my computer like for 4 years. Uh, and I had other things going on in my life, and other work challenges, and so that wasn't a priority. And then in 2019, I was I got a second divorce, so my life got all again, upside down, and I had to move from the house where I was living. I didn't have clients. I was doing some part-time job in the promotional thing, because that was what I knew, and I needed the money. And suddenly I lost that also, and I was like, no money, no house, no husband, 3 kids. I was like, what the hell is going on? And I needed something, to hang on to. I needed a project, something that kept me sane. And I remembered the book, and I said, oh, the book. So I went back and read what I had written, and I found out that I had written for myself like a manual to navigate this kind of messy stuff in life. And I had, because my thesis in my master's was about resilience. So I had done a lot of investigation. I had like the theoretical frame of it, and also I was writing of my own experiences, and the tools that I've used to overcome, my first divorce and my kids' illness and my sickness, and mixed it with what I had learned about resilience and positive psychology. So when I reread my manuscript, it was like, oh, this is good stuff. This works. I'm using it, and it works. This cannot be, only for me. I have to share this. So that was the project that I took like my lifesaver on that year. I decided I wanted to finish it and to launch it the day of my birthday, and that was like the objective. And I worked very hard until I was able to self-publish it the day of my birthday in 2019, and I think the timing couldn't have been better, because the book is about, how do you change the afflictive emotions that arise when loss, change, adversity hits you, and what do you do to change those ugly and uncomfortable and painful emotions into gold of self-discovery and conscious and personal growth. So I launched the book in September, and then in December the pandemic started. So it was like
just in time, right?
Yeah.
Wow. We always separate those who talks and those who walk the talk, right? So and my heart is always go with the one who walk the talk, because of those already have the experience. You cannot teach people resiliences if you don't go into adversity and get up that strong. You cannot teach people love if you don't have the love for yourself and the love for people. So it has to be really coming from the inside, and the wholeness of experience that you have, so that when the people read it, they can feel in there, they can see all the similarities that life gives to you, also giving it to them as some part. And not, if not now, maybe somewhere in the past, or maybe somewhere potentially happen in the future. Yeah. So it helps us to realize the treasure of life, and also treasure the beauty of preparation ourselves. If it come in, then is we are ready when we welcome it if it comes, right? Of course we don't want it to come, but if it is, but if it is,
but it will. I mean,
yeah.
but that's part of the learning. Life is like that, and sooner or later you're gonna have to deal with painful situations, and with loss, and with change, and we naturally resist change, and that makes us suffer. So it's like the idea is like to bring to the table a lot of tools that you can, try on and see what works for you, but tools that help you, build that resilience muscle.
Yep.
So not to wait until you're, with the mud up onto your nose, but to strengthen it as if you were going to the gym with small things, with the small resistance, the small sufferings on your day to day. So when the big tsunami comes, your muscle, you're toned, and you can swim, and you can, survive the wave.
Absolutely, absolutely. There's two more questions that I would like to ask you before we conclude our session today. All right. And the first question is about thinking. Okay. With a person like you in your situation, there's a lot of thinking that running in your head, and you are able to find out, what best for you, what works for you, and stuff. And my wife and I was in the mission of helping people to think better, because we have the belief for a long time that our ability to think is not increasing but actually is declining, and unfortunately like that, and then if we can help, that would be good. So every chance that we talk to an expert, or we talk to somebody who really think big, we ask this question: Sandy, how do you help yourself to expand your ability to think?
How my teacher teaches in his model of happiness, which is intellectual well-being. It's one of the five elements that compose happiness. So you need to be curious, and be wondered about life, and curious about different things, and passionate about some themes. And so never lose that curiosity, and never underestimate the ability that you have to learn, because I think that's here in Mexico we have a saying that an old dog doesn't learn new tricks, and that's false. You know, you can always learn more. You can always, if you even if you don't read, or you don't go to courses, or you don't study a master's or a PhD, simply by doing things differently, and making different choices, and exposing yourself to different experiences, will make your mind and your intellect grow, and expand your context, and have a broader view of life, and have more wisdom. So I think that's one of the biggest gifts that we as human beings have, that we can, our potential is immense, and our brain can still grow and make new connections, and be lightened up, even if you're 95. I mean, if you're healthy, you can keep learning, and I think that when people stop learning, and people think that they know it all, or that they cannot learn anything else in life, they are ready to pass away, because then yes, I mean, really, you start, I don't know how you say it, when a flower starts going like dying. How do you say? I don't know. I forget the word in English, but yes, I mean, you start, like a grape, you start going like dry, and because if you don't use it, it will stop working.
Yep. And then Sandy, talking to the people with the know-it-all mindset also is a dead conversation. It's boring. It just, like sometimes when I had a chance, I got into that conversation, and I couldn't get out, because of just the politeness that we have to give to people. My mind is not there. I just feel like, I'm just so dead. So it's just not that they are dying. It's just also the people around them is affected by that. It's really, really poisonous, and it's really, really, just bad.
Yeah, those are. But I mean, I think we could define that's one of the characteristics of toxic people. They think they know it all, or they feel they're victims and they cannot learn anything else and that they are stuck in life and they complain a lot. So yes, I think that, this fixed mindset and this, oh, well, what else can I know about this thing? When people come to my courses, I always say, even if you've heard about leadership like 1,000 times and read 1,000 books, you can always learn a little bit more, and you can always learn from other people's experience. So if you're not open, and you close the doors of your mind saying, there's nothing new for me to learn here, then why are you breathing? I mean, really. I say it for real.
Man, thanks a lot for sharing, the process of thinking from your experience. So that definitely good advice for the people to learn and to apply. Stay curious, stay, open yourself to learn, and try to do different things so that it can expand. It can stretch you a little bit, and from that space of stretching, it give you a lot more room for you to learn, right? And the last question I am asking you before I let you go, I know you have an appointment at 8 o'clock tonight, right? So, Sandy, we know your past. We know all the challenging that you've been through before you get into the moment of now. And I want to give you a big hug for, to comfort you all over the challenges you've been from 2008 up until the point, up until, you found the calling and change and transform. And that's the beauty of listen to your hearts, not only listen to your heads, right? So heading toward into the future just a little bit, is there anything exciting you're working on and you want to celebrate, share with us so we can celebrate with you in advance?
Thank you. Well, I think that, I wrote a chapter for a collaborative book called Inspiring Leaders here in Mexico. It's for Spanish speaking public all over Latin America and Spain. And I was honored by being invited. And I wrote a chapter about this, my model of emotionally responsible organizations. So I hope I'm working hard on bringing this topic, about seeing your people as volunteers and emotional inclusion and diversity and all that. And I'm really looking forward to that and see how it goes. And maybe, I don't know, I'm just saying maybe, write a complete book about it, but I want to see the response of the people first.
Sandy, what you contribute to that book is important, because earlier you said that we cannot separate the emotions. You cannot go into work and say, "Hey, keep your emotion at home" or something like that. It's not working. We are human beings, right? So definitely, organization needs to trust that, to understand that we are humans, and then we can carry our emotions to work. But how we gonna govern in that, how we gonna collaboratively to help each other at work, so that you are not alone and I'm not alone in that journey. Togetherness is something that's important, and that stick
It's very important.
organization, it makes organization last, it makes relationship last. So don't make it a maybe, make it a yes.
For real. Maybe, I'm not sure if next year, but before 2025.
Yeah, before 2025. I will mark on my calendar in 2023, 24 on September 1st. First is to say happy birthday to you. Second is to check on the process of the new book. Okay.
Okay,
All right,
an
Sandy.
accountability body. That's good.
Yep. Sandy, thanks a lot for spending your evening with us, and I really appreciate that. Um, your story is very inspiring, and I congratulate for you that you be able to, in adversity, in really extreme adversity like your situation, you were able to find a path that can help you to grow and shed the lights to the people so they can grow also. So you know please keep doing more with that. People need
Thank you.
that. Okay.
Thank you so much, and thank you for reaching out and very happy to meet you, and hope you keep up your great work, because I mean the amount of interviews you're doing and the amount of valuable information you're putting out there, it's I think invaluable. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you very much for the kind words. You have a wonderful evening. Okay, enjoy the event tonight.
Thank you so much.
Bye bye, my friend.
Bye bye.
Bye.